Hello, hello. Let me know if you can hear me. For some reason, my microphone didn't connect today. And so this is my computer microphone, and I want to know if this works. So let me know, please. If not, I've got to get my webmaster in here. You could hear me. Okay. Does it sound the normal sound, or does it sound more quiet? Might be a good thing for me to be more quiet. It's not noticing my other microphone that I use. So if I go here, can you still hear me here? Because this is where I would be teaching from. So just let me know if you're able to hear that. Hear me. I've got tree cutters outside too. So my tree cutters are out there. You can hear me. You can hear me. Okay, great. So hello. Christina's here, and Donna, and Chachi, and Carolyn, and Judy. Yes, it's really chilly. And when I put this on today, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what I wear in the winter. But I felt like I could do it. I went outside before I came on, and it was kind of chilly, but I love it. I'm not complaining. Good morning, Shannon, Jeannie, Sharon, I think I said hello. I mean, Shannon, Carol, she's way, Sharon, and let me see. Yes. Okay, perfect. Loud and clear. All right, Joyce, thanks. How are you all doing? So I think that what I'm going to do the 8-week session, and I did not take the last time the week off in May, but I am going to take a whole week off. So I'm going to take the week of July 4, 5, 6, 7, I think starting July 7th, which would be the normal week I was off. So for those of you that don't practice with me usually, I teach 8 weeks and then I have a week off. That's how Torrance Memorial, the hospital I teach for, that's how they structure their classes. And I really do need that because I need it. It's been 3 months of teaching. I started teaching on March 17th. So this is actually going after next week. That'll be 4 months or 2 8-week sessions really of straight teaching, 16 weeks without taking any time off. I have taken 2 classes off, but that's it. So I'm going to take a whole week off, and you guys will have recorded classes to watch, which I recommend you do and you practice, because the practice of yoga is meant to be something, it's a lifestyle and a behavior that you bring into your life. And I think for many of you that have practiced with me for a while, you know, or you're starting to feel the value or noticing the value. It doesn't just happen. It's not like 2 months in, you notice this, or 3 months in, you notice this. What I just learned from my teacher I study with in India is that it's like connecting the dots. And so because we are this mind-body entity, and here in the West, it's really not something we learn. And then I'm going to even bring in that spiritual layer of us. And for some, that may mean religion. That may mean their religion, which is fine. For others that don't have something they practice, it is that part of us as humans that ever since how many ever years we've been here as human beings, there was a ritual or ritual and behavioral part of what most indigenous populations did that were able to survive. So to have some kind of connection, and of course that opens a whole can of worms. So I'm going to allow it to be what it is, to have respect for nature or something beyond ourselves. So it's not just little old me living this life and trying to deal with COVID by myself, family by myself, whatever it is, that there can be this comforting aspect that I'm not here all by myself, trying to figure it all out. And that can be very powerful. So when we practice yoga, when we start to slow down, when we start to have an effect on our nervous system through the breath work, when we breathe evenly and we convey to our insides that the coast is clear and that everything is okay, that's what helps to modulate or manage our own stress response. And we know now that a very large percentage, let's say 80, 90, and maybe even one day they'll find out 100% of our ailments and issues are stress related. Even osteoporosis is affected by it's a metabolic process that takes place. The bones are breaking down faster than they're building up. So the internal environment needs to be at its optimum working capacity in order to make sure that everything that takes place internally is optimal. And to find optimal functionality, we need to set the body up for that. So if the body thinks it needs to run away from something, then we are not going to be building and repairing and restoring. And so that is the yoga that we're practicing. What we're doing here is not just sending stimulation to the hip joint so the hip joint gets stronger. It's not just weight bearing that femur head, the neck of the femur, so that it's more strong for you to hold you up or in case you fall. It's not just that. We're learning how to breathe. We're showing up for each other. The fact that you could see that Dawn is here and you know where Donna sits in the room, that Carol's here and Sharon, and that we have some normalcy. We have something that is still what we had. For those of you that are just new, that are new to me, hi Lynn. For those of you that are new to, and Athena, hello. For those of you that are new to me and are not used to practicing with me in a classroom environment and knowing who's here, you're receiving so many benefits. You email me, you text me, you share that in the class here. So there's a lot of benefit that we're all receiving, myself included. For me to be here with you, I'm in this group with you. So we are all receiving something. So our practice of yoga is a connection of the dots. Whatever it is we need, known and unknown, we are integrating our mind, our body, and soul, and we are taking care of and nourishing layers of us that we can see and layers of us that we can't. So on a very seen layer, yes, we're going to strengthen your bones. We're going to work on balance, on posture. That's going to improve your confidence in how you feel about your body, how you feel about aging, how you feel about having osteoporosis. So that's going to go into your mental emotional layer, which is going to minimize, moderate, manage your stress, which is going to then affect your biochemistry, your physiology, and your metabolism, which is then going to affect your osteoporosis in a physical biochemical relationship. So we're all connected. It's all connected. What we're doing here is the seen part of you, the unseen part of you. Thank you for joining me because you're here, I'm here. You see who else is here with you. It's all a part of it. So that whole explanation came out of me saying that I was going to take a week off. And I need that to really focus on sharing yoga in the way that I want to share it. I want my live classes. I want my online programs. I'm branching out in different areas to share this wisdom because I believe yoga is the answer. For all of us, I believe it is the answer. And I hope that whatever you need, you get. I'm going to give you a lot of different things. Please take what works for you, what's beneficial for you. Whatever doesn't resonate, whatever sounds a little too or you're questioning it, let that be there. Take what you need. There's a lot being shared here, and not just from me. The fact that you're here for each other, that you're here, that you're showing up, that means something for all of us. So thank you to all of you for creating this space for us to actually be able to share this ancient healing wisdom that maybe came from a place known today as India, where the birth of humanity came from. Many of the world's religions came from there. Not that this is a religion, but this wisdom of mankind on how to be connected. Judaism came from there. Christianity came from there. Like that part of the world is where humans were. Physically, that's where we just started. So that's where this wisdom came from. And yesterday, one of my teachers shared that the reason why you're here for yoga, the reason why I'm studying what I'm studying, is because my soul was attracted to this information. So I hope that I'm able to articulate and share with you what it is I so strongly believe in, which is the power, the healing wisdom of yoga. So could we all just take a big sigh? And can the big sigh, so first of all, be in your mind, because you're listening to me and you're making your assumptions. There's judgments. There's things I'm saying that make sense. Some of you are like, yeah, give me more Kool-Aid. I'm drinking this Kool-Aid. Some of you are like, okay, I just want to be on my mat. I want to strengthen my bones. I want my core to be strong. I want my posture to be okay. So just notice where you are in your mind in terms of what is resonating, what is sinking in, what is a little bit anxious. Just notice all that part of you. And then close your eyes. We are all here to heal our mind, our bodies, and our souls. And that's what we're going to do. So let's inhale that in. Let's inhale that healing energy this group is creating. Take a deep inhale. And then open your mouth and sigh on the exhale. Make a noise, especially if you're alone. Inhale. Sigh with such relief, like, yes, you're right. I'm here to heal. Let me release, let me let go, and let me be here for this. Take an inhale. Surrender is the word I want. Surrender with your sigh. And then open your eyes. For those of us that remember the commercial, probably in the 70s, maybe the 80s, where the tired mother, because in those days it was a little bit, our lives were a little bit different. Women were at home taking care of kids and cooking and cleaning. Not that that doesn't happen now, but there was much more that the woman at the end of the day of taking care of her house and her family would sink into a bathtub. And the commercial was for Calgon. And the slogan was, Calgon, take me away. And she would sink into her bath, and everything that was set up in the imagery was, right? So let's bring this with us onto our mats. That this is your break from all the stuff that you're bombarded with, the news, the hopelessness, the fear of the uncertainty of the future. Let's come onto our mats. Before we get there though, just come back to your mat. Don't go on it yet, okay? Come back to your mat. And then make sure that you have everything you need for super comfort. And I'm going to ask you, that those of you that have oils, grab an oil, okay? I've been using my oils lately. And it's really amazing because it's sensory input that actually stimulates the nervous system, right? What we bring into our body through our eyes, our ears, our nose, our mouth, and then the area we put ourselves in. So I'd like you to bring yourself. You're going to find whatever position you like. I'm being a little bit more free with my direction of how you begin because I don't know what props you have. I hope you have a lot. So before you get on the mat, just come off of it for 1 second. If you are going to have oils nearby. Come off the mat for a second and look down at your mat. And if it's not a mat, look at your space where you're going to lay your body. 2 foot-ish by 6 foot is what I heard the dimensions were, and whatever they are, they are. This is your sacred space. This, I'd like us to make this intention that for this next hour plus, we are going to place ourselves here lovingly as if you were your own 6-month-old child, for self-care, for everything that can benefit our being. So this is a complete, let me just give you all the good stuff. So you're going to take what you can, what you need from the practice today. You're going to come onto your sacred space. For those of you that were able to grab something that's really yummy, I found my good bag of oils. And for those of you that practice with me in person, I use oils in every single class. I think I've missed, let's say that I've taught 1,000 classes. I've missed 3 where I haven't had oils with me, and maybe not even 3. So I'm going to use my vetiver, which is a very grounding, earthy, wet, moist oil. It's very heavy, and it's meant to ground the mental energy. So I'd like you to grab a scent if you have one. And for those of you, where's my vetiver? Here it is. For those of you that do not have a scent, I want you to think about a scent that really is good for you. Or I want you to imagine what it would be like if you were somewhere in nature. So for some of you, the heaviness of moisture, of forest, of wet, of dew on flowers, of ferns and all the kind of vegetation that would grow in a really wet, moist area. For some of you, that grounds your mental energy. For some of you that have a heavy energy to begin with, or are prone to depression or anything like that, you need a lighter fragrance. So for you, I'd like you to think of citrus, walking through a field of oranges, of orange trees with blossoms that are full of deep, rich oil. Because this is my osteoporosis class, can you please take care of rounding your upper spine, reaching a hand away from you as you come all the way down onto your sacred space in a position that signals the nervous system that everything is okay. Bring yourself onto your mat. This is your time to take care of you. And there may be some boys here that are not chatting with us. I know Steve shows up quite often in the classes. He's probably here today. And so even for men as well, this self-care act, that this is about us right now, and especially those of you that choose to enter the war zone called the news and listen to all that stuff, leave all of that away. See this 2 foot by 6 foot sacred space as right now you're going to nurture your being. You're going to nurture your body and you're going to nurture your being. This is you as a human being. So bring your awareness to where you are. Find comfort, whatever that is for you. Prop yourself in the way you need to be propped up, resting your body. Slide your shoulder blades closer to your spine if your back is on the floor. Minimize what you put behind your head so you could start to get a little postural correction deep in the spine here. Take your hands, whatever oil you've chosen to use, if you have one. If you don't have one, still take your hands, make this intention so that as you open up the palms, you're opening up either a forest with moisture, with ferns, leaves are curling, there's moisture and dew everywhere. If you were to step barefoot in this forest, the mud would squish between your toes. You would feel the earthiness and the grounding aspect of a forest. Or you're skipping through an orange grove with a lot of beautiful orange essence in the air all around you. Whatever you need. Take some deep inhalations and bring your awareness to your nose. The olfactory nerve is connected to the brain. So bring that aroma in right now. Let's be on that olfactory nerve path, going straight to your brain with smell, with scent, either really or imagined, perceived or real. So maybe this nerve is about 6 inches long, 8 inches long. Stay right there. Follow in the nostrils. Go in the nostrils up to your brain. And to your brain in the very center of your brain. So right between the eyebrows, about 3 inches in. Follow that aroma from the nostrils into the center of the brain. Follow the visual of the forest or of the orchard. That same pathway from your nose, inhaling, imagining to the center of the brain. And then go ahead, last breath, let your arms go out to the sides. Bringing your awareness to the ears and notice what you hear around you. Are you able to hear anything in the sky? And in that sky, are there different levels? Do you hear a plane? Do you hear birds? Do you hear anything in the location where you are? Bring your awareness to your body, to your mouth. Allow your jaw to rest. Let the lips gently touch. Let's be very curious now with the breath. Equal breath, stimulating and sending a message to your nervous system that the coast is clear, that everything is perfect and okay. This is you as a human being and not as a human doing. Let the lips touch, let the back teeth be separated. Move your body in whichever way you need to find maximum comfort in your body. Bring your awareness to your whole breath pathway, starting at the nostrils, going down the back of the throat, into the lungs. Does it go all the way down to the belly? So as if you could stand outside yourself and watch yourself breathe. Notice where your breath is going. Try not to manipulate it yet. Just notice that you are breathing. See if you could feel it. We're bringing the outside. We could live without water and food for a while. We cannot live without breath. Breath is your life force energy. So feel that life force energy entering your body and notice the movement that happens in the chest, in the belly. You can't live without this breath. And there's miraculous that occur with your breath. The creation of energy, the ability for the body to function through the oxygen that's brought in and through the waste products that are given off with each and every breath. Then on a metaphysical level, you're inhaling consciousness or life. This is what allows you to live, to be a human being. So for those of you where this resonates with you, you're inhaling consciousness. The breath is the link between the conscious and the subconscious. The breath is what we actually have control over to manage our stress response, which will then in turn balance everything else. So watch the breath happen. Watch this happen. And then let's get involved in establishing harmony and peace for your nervous system. I'm going to do a counting of 4 on the inhale. I'll pause at the top and 4 on the exhale, pausing at the bottom. Listen to my voice or count along with me. Try to stay with the actual act of counting, to stay in that harmonized inhale and exhale pattern. Take a breath to clear. Inhale and exhale. Let's begin. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, pause. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, pause. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, pause. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, pause. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, pause. Exhale, 1,
2, 3, 4, pause. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, pause. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, pause. Continue on your own, counting silently to yourself, matching your inhale with your exhale. Wherever you are, finish up your last breath and then 3 more rounds of breath. When you finish your last breath, let go of the counting, give the breath back to the body. Go back to sound. Notice again if you hear those sounds, if they're still there or have new ones arrived. Bring your awareness to your hands, wiggling your hands and your toes, and then bringing your hands together. Rub your hands together. See if there's any aroma left over for those of you that had essential oil today. Or for those of you that were visualize yourself back in that wet forest, walking through the ground with your toes, feeling the softness and wetness and the dampness of the earth. Or through that beautiful orange grove where your mind is up with the orange aroma. Wiggle your toes. Find whatever you need in your body, any kind of movement. You could bring your knees into your chest, or you could take your body all the way straight. You could bring your limbs up into the air, letting everything drop down towards the back. Whatever you need to do, just move your body. Feel yourself on your mat in the sacred space we're creating today for ourselves. And then roll all the way onto your right side. Cradling your head in your hand. We're going to open up the left hand on the floor, leading with the left shoulder, bringing yourself up to a seated position. For those of you that deal with depression or heavy emotions, and right now is an even worse time for that with what's going on out there. Keeping your mind up, keeping things up and up. When we were visualizing walking through an orange field, even if you had orange oil or tangerine oil, or you had an orange at home and you could use the zest or the peel or peel an orange, it actually keeps your mind elevated from that ground, from the heaviness into that space where you can bring lightness into your body and mind. I think it's more important than ever because I think we're all going through a shift and I don't know that it's going to go back. I was listening to that or reading about that there is a new normal, that things are going to change and it may be forever. Turn on the music. It may be forever.
I have some visuals around in my sacred space that I've created. I just wanted to show you guys this. This is the yoga studio that is my favorite I've ever been to in the world. And this is in Bali. So can you imagine that that's the view of the yoga space? And the sounds that were around me for this space were of crickets and monkeys and coconuts falling and birds and buzzing bees and Anna's here and probably Stevie, and they were going to be going to Bali with me in September. We were going to be going to Bali in September. And so anyway, life has changed for now and actually probably for a long time. So let's really take this sacred space here to calm our nerves, to calm our mind, to bring ourselves to clarity, to peace, to all of that. So in osteoporosis, we want to make sure we do not bend this part of our spine around this part of our spine, meaning this, which is flexion. So I'm trying to really accentuate a rounding in that upper spine. That's what you want to move away from. So I'd like to show some resting pad movement places today in this practice that you can find in your body to still bring in some kind of rounding or flexion of the torso, which can actually help calm the nervous system, yet also be safe in the body. So raised awareness around that. If you have a bolster, I'd love you to have a bolster here. For those of you that don't have bolsters, you can fold blankets. You could fold 2 or 3 blankets to act like it's a bolster. So you don't have to have fancy props. You can actually create those yourself. And this will actually, so that's 2 blankets folded. Yeah, they're yoga blankets, but it doesn't have to be yoga blankets. It could be towels. So that was to kind of take the place of this. And I'd like to do a beginning here where I show a resting pose that's safe for yoga with osteoporosis and to warm up the spine and the upper body. So you're going to take your arms, find your prop. Hopefully you found it, have it. You're going to take your arms, and I want you to notice my back here. I tried to wear something today where you could see my form. So when I come all the way back here, this is a child's pose. I'm keeping my tushy in the air. My arms are straight. When the arms are straight, the shoulder blades are on the upper spine, and that minimizes flexion in that thoracic spine. So coming back here, even letting go back, you can see that my straight. I'm hoping that you've all found something to begin this in. Take your arms straight. For those of you with a pretty strong practice, we're going to do a little half series flow here. And for some of you, you may not need to have anything there. We're going to inhale, push your belly button to your spine. So round out the lower back, not to the mid back. Bring yourself all the way so that you are hovering. Your joints are stacked, your wrists, your elbows, and your shoulders. And then you're going to lower down by keeping your arms in at the side of the body to lower all the way down onto whatever it is you have here. You're not going to let your arms go out to the side. The arms are going to come straight down. And then you're going to bring yourself forward and you're going to bring yourself up. This is half dog. This is a back bend. And then you're going to exhale, push your belly button back towards your spine. Come all the way down. Inhale, push your belly button up towards your spine. Exhale to lower. Inhale. Elbows staying at your spine. You should feel your low belly stretch here. Exhale, belly button to spine, coming back. Moving through the hip joint, moving through the shoulder joint. Inhale up. Exhale to lower down. The poses or the asana of yoga many, many times deals with the spine and moving the spine, because they say that the health of the individual is directly related to the health of their spine. Inhale to come forward, exhale to lower. Inhale, open your throat, open your chest, open your heart. Exhale back. You could remove the blanket if you'd like, keeping your back straight by straight arms, shoulder blades on the back. Inhale, forward, exhale to lower. Inhale, elbows staying at the body. Exhale, push the belly back. Inhale, low belly moves up towards the low back. Exhale to come forward.
Lowering down, inhale. Go slow, go with breath and go slow. Notice where the issues in the tissues are, where the tightness is, where the roadblocks are. One more time, inhale up, exhale to lower down. Slowly if you can, feel that strength in the upper body. Inhale up and exhale back. Bring yourself all the way to standing. So yes, in class, that's challenging for some. You do what's appropriate for your body. If you have a bolster on, so take your blankets or whatever you have there. We're going to do something that strengthens the back body, and it works with bending, because I said that what I really want to do is give you safe ways to move, because folding forward is something we do all the time. And so I think it's better to teach you how to do it safely than to say, don't ever do it, because you're going to do it. So let me give you safe ways to do it. Right here is where bending of the hips takes place. So I want you, when you bend forward like this, to have this part of your body. These are your clavicle bones here, this knob right here. Think about this is always leading and always looking up. So when you fold, it's like this and not like this. It's not like leading with the head, because then the whole spine will follow and you're going to come into flexion. When you come forward, this still stays open, gazes forward. Take your hands down alongside your body. This is Tadasana mountain pose. When you stack your joints here, letting your spine be nice and long, your cervical spine, hands or palms are facing away from you. Inhale, look up. And then when you exhale, bring your palms down, keep your throat open, keep the top of the chest pointing forward. Back is flat. Come all the way down, turn your palms up towards the sky. Let your hands rest on your sacrum, which is embedded in the top pelvis. Forehead touches the bolster. To come up, contract your tushy. Look forward with your head. That's going to arrange that upper back and arrange that part. And then you inhale to rise. Exhale to lower. Throat is open, heart is open, head is forward, and you arrange how much you need to do that with your head. Inhale, go slow. See what you feel in your shoulders, see what you feel in your back, trying to get a nice range of motion in the joints and feeling what we feel. The hardest part is the initiating the rise. And then 2 more. Keep your throat open, keep your back nice and flat. And 1 more, hinging at the hips. Push your belly button back towards your spine to help that lower. Glutes are lengthening to let you lower down. Hips are hinging. And then open your chest, arms are out to the side. And bring yourself all the way up. And then come out of that. Strengthening the back. Learn how to bend forward. Let's take the bolster to the side. Let's come on to all fours. Do a little crawling back and forth. And let's come on to fists for wrists. So fists for wrists would be this. I take my fist and I turn it into I take my hand, turn it into a fist. I'm walking on this part of my hand. And see if that feels okay. And then for those of you that have good wrists, or actually, let's come on to our fingertips. Make a pentapod. Take a pentapod. I know that for a lot of us, myself included, even though I'm in my early 50s, almost mid 50s, even though I'm in my 50s, opening jars is not that easy anymore. So we need to strengthen our hands. So walk on your pentapod, all 5 fingertips, and then bring yourself back to center. Here's what I would say. Some of the stuff that we do in the physical aspects of yoga is hard. And so you have to do what's right for you and the right amount of time. So if being on the wrist for 5 breaths or 5 movements is too much, then you cut it down to 2 or even 1. Introduce it into your body. Okay, let's come on to, we're going to come into our plank pose. And actually, we're going to come into side plank, which
is the hardest yoga pose that I do. That's why it's interesting I'm starting off like this, but I am going to start out like this because I said it. And I'm going to give you a modification. So I'm actually going to do the modification. There's some of you out there that may not. For those of you that are have a pretty strong practice, you're going to come into the regular Vasisthasana, and you know what that is. It's a 30-second hold. Okay, so know that. And then for the rest of you, come on to all fours. Take a block. It's going to be a little easier for some of you to have a block. We're going to do left side first. So I'd like your left hand to be right underneath your elbow, right underneath your shoulder. Slide your left foot off to the side. So your left knee is on the floor, but you slid your left foot over to the side. And then you take the block and you're going to bring yourself up so that you stack your hips. Your hips are stacked, which means this hip bone and this hip bone are now pointing forward. Don't let the hip bones point down to the floor. And the way you can ensure that is this leg is on the floor. The whole big toe edge is on the floor. And then you're going to contract the core, push the belly button back towards the spine, lift the leg up, and then lift the arm up. If your wrist is not happy, push your body weight back onto your standing leg, which is the one you're on the floor, or come up onto a frosted cupcake hand, like you have a frosted cupcake in that hand. And then lift that upper leg. Keep your head as an extension of your spine. You could reach your hand up and over if you'd like. And if you'd like to add a back bend, you can bend that leg, foot comes back towards the tushy, reach back, grab that foot, and come into a back bend. If you want a little more challenge for balance, take your back foot, your left foot off the floor. For those of you that are in Vasisthasana regular, if you'd like to come down, you can come down. Let's come back into this, and then slowly we're going to bring ourselves all the way down. Just come through center for a second. That's a lateral chain exercise, strengthening that standing hip that you're on. It's called side plank. Love that. Lifting that leg up is going to strengthen one of the glute muscles and some of the lateral chain. Holding your head up in that position, also strengthening the side neck. Lots of head and neck issues lately. I'm going to switch sides just so my face is towards the camera. And then let's come onto the other side. So now we're going to do the right side. So you start from all fours, joints are stacked, which means my knee is directly underneath my hip. My wrist is underneath my elbow, which is underneath my shoulder. You don't want your hands forward. You don't want to be here because we want stacked joints. And that's what Dr. Fishman said. The reason why we can do these strong poses if we have osteoporosis is that if we have proper alignment, we're safe to move into. So proper alignment and then the connective are very important aspects of osteoporosis when we have issues in our tissues. Let's take the right foot and slide it off the mat. So the knee is still on the floor. Then you're going to bring yourself onto that right side so that the foot comes directly off your body. It's not forward. That's what I see, or I see people like this, half on. So I want your foot needs to be all the way here. This may be where you stay the entire 30 seconds. If you're able to lift the leg, feel that engagement of that glute here, that lateral chain, holding that heavy leg up against gravity. Arm is up towards the sky. You could, and then your head is an extension of your neck. So if the neck is really bothering here, you could turn your gaze down to your hand that's on the floor if you need to. You could turn your hand over to the side, up above you if that works. Make sure that leg is lifted. And if you want to try that back bend, you'll bend the standing leg so the foot comes behind you. Try not to let this upper leg bone go forward. Reach back, grab that foot, push the chest out. You're in a back bend here. And then body weight onto the standing leg if you need. Come up to frosted cupcake hand if you need. Find what you need in your body here. Take one more breath. Bring yourself back to your neutral. So go with strength. Every part of this is strengthening the body some way, somehow, and then go ahead and come out. Just go ahead, take your hands, roll your wrists out. Strengthening the wrists is a really important factor as we age, always in life, but as we age. Okay, we're going to do the plank pose. We're going to do dolphin plank.
And this is one of the new poses in the series, and it's also what we're doing here to keep our bodies nice and strong. So I'm going to use my block here. When my block is here, my elbows are here. The elbows are not here when you're on the floor. This is to keep the elbows this distance and pushing into the block, which is going to stabilize that shoulder girdle, which is part of balance. Let's bring that block forward. Take your elbows onto the floor, your knees. So if you want to stay in a modification of dolphin, you could keep your belly off the floor. And if you want to lift your legs all the way up, your heels come off the floor, your knees come off the floor, do that. Make sure your feet are about hip distance, not too far, especially if you're going to lift them off the floor. Make sure your elbows are directly underneath your shoulders and you're lengthening out the crown of the head, pushing the heels away from you. Little harder to do dolphin plank than to do full plank. You take away that support and that power in the upper body. If you'd like to try 1 foot off at a time, can you lift 1 foot off at a time for a breath or 2 or 3 or 4? Short ones, of course, or not. You don't have to do that. That's just a little addition for those that want that. Bring your legs down. You could do your legs again if you'd like. Reaching out the crown of the head. Push your heels back and reach out the center of the heels. Pushing your elbows into the floor, your feet into the floor, and pull them towards each other. Imagine a string is lifting your back up towards the sky, your low back up towards the sky, and then go ahead and come all down. Woo! It's my sound effect. Here you are in your Sphinx pose. Find that length in the belly. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen the torso away as you bring yourself all the way down. Let your hands rest alongside your body. Pick the legs up, rotate them in the sockets. So you pick them up and you roll your inner thighs up towards the sky. You lengthen your leg long and your outer edges of the legs roll down to the ground. Internal rotation, little space is created in the back here. Forehead is on the floor. Breathe down to your belly. So my heart is still beating from the plank pose, from the 1 minute dolphin plank. So actually, let's rest our backs for a second. Take your hands, fold your hands, because I feel my heart is still accelerated and I feel my low back. So I'm just going to give myself a little wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Bring my feet up. And let's do like a windshield wiper side to side with your legs. You can let your hip bones come off the floor. You can let your pelvis tilt a little bit with this. If it feels okay, let them both go out to the side. Let them come in. A little passive stretching of that hip. Let your legs go down. Forehead is on the back of the hands and breathe down to your belly. That'll help to relax that low back. Take one more breath. Let's do our locust pose. Take your legs nice and long. Pick one up, roll it in the socket. Pick the other up, roll it in the socket. Inner thighs up towards the sky. Outer edge of the arm down towards the ground. Reach your hands nice and long. Let your forehead touch the floor. Inhale, let the arms and legs come off the mat. Let the hands come off. Let the upper body come off. If you'd like to do a little more, you could stay here. This is level 1 for locust pose. Breathing down to your belly. Push the pubis bone into the floor, lifting the head, the arms, the legs. If you'd like to come to the next level, you could take your arms out to the side. Palms are down, arms are straight, or bend the elbows. Breathing down to your belly. Feel that length in your body, so be nice and strong. Keep internally rotating those legs. Feel that strength in your back. Don't just bring yourself up. Be strong here, going against gravity. Turn on the posterior chain of the body, the whole back body here. Lengthen the back of the neck. Feel like your head is lengthening away from you. Your feet are lengthening away from you. Take one more breath. And then go ahead back to your crocodile, fold your hands, put the back of the head on the back of the hands, spread your legs pretty wide here, and flip your toes out if you can. So this is now external rotation. Try to get the foot, the big toe edge of the foot touching the floor. Breathe down to your belly. Take one more breath. Take your arm straight away from you. So the right arm usually reaching on, rolling on to your right side. Bend your knees. You could use your top leg. So let me teach you that, because that's a nice way. So watch me for 1 second. When I get up, I'm going to use this left side to be momentum to help push me up. Okay, so it's like a whoosh, and that action helps to pop you up. And you'll notice that my shoulder is higher than my head. I'm not going like this, letting my head come up. I want it to be that the shoulder, that this hand really has a big part of this. Take your hand on the floor, your left hand on the floor in front of you. You're going to use your left leg. Take an inhale, let it come in a little bit, and exhale. Let it be a piston that as away from you, it brings you all the way up. So a lot of safe movement practices today in our practice. Learning about that folding, that it comes from the hips, how to keep this upper back straight, and then that getting up is also a safety mechanism. Let's do another pose called camel, which is a back bend and one of the newer poses to the practice. So I'm going to show you our version that we're going to come into for most of us. You're going to take your hands and you're going to bring your hands together and clasp your hands. Maybe you could bring the palms of your hands together. For a lot of you, you may not be able to do that. And maybe even grabbing your hands is hard. If it is, can you grab onto your elbows or can you grab onto your wrists? So whatever you need to do to come into this position here. And your feet are on the floor and you're standing on top of your knees and your shins. Then you're going to take your hands, reach your hands down and away from you, and notice how this brings a back bend into my body. So you're going to reach your hands away, let your shoulder blades strongly push into your rib cage, pushing your heart up towards the sky. Your hands are reaching down and away from you, and you can elevate them a little, but really this down and away from you to lift the chest up. And then keep your head on top of your spine. You can keep your chin parallel to the floor here. For those of you that have a true camel pose, you could flip your toes under, bring your hands back onto your legs, and come into or grab your heels, whatever it is you do for your true camel pose. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and bring yourselves out. So that right there is a really nice thing to do quite often. And I know someone here, Judy, I'm going to address you here, talking about cooking a lot and getting that discomfort in the upper back here. So depending on whether we've got the weight of our head forward, or for those of us that have some extra stuff here that is pulling us forward too. So this camel pose, finding this, or chest expansion, camel is when we come all the way back here. And this is a camel pose, not for everybody. This right here, a variation, can be a variation. And even standing with your arms like this when you're just standing can help to open up the front of the shoulder blades, the front of the shoulders. And maybe here you guys can even feel that there's a stretch here on the front of the shoulders. And that's a really good thing for postural correction, for helping to take that forward movement out of the body. Okay, for those of you that want to get up by bringing a foot forward and stepping up, you can. And for those of you that want to come through downward facing dog, you're going to stretch the back of the body. Have the feet really wide. The arms are wide. And just take bend one knee at a time to get that lengthening in the calves. Hands are wide and forward. And then inhale to bring the body forward. Exhale, push the belly button up towards the sky. Inhale to bring the body forward. Exhale back up. One more. Inhale forward. Gazes forward. Exhale back. Bend the knees. Walk your hands back. Let your heels touch the floor. Look forward. That's important. Look forward. Don't look straight down. You don't want your upper back to round. Think about a little baby on the floor. When you put them on their tummy and they lift their head, they're strengthening their back. That's why we do tummy time with young kids. Put your hands on your thighs. You're looking forward, and you're going to slowly, slowly bring yourself to standing. Well, I'm sure many of you are warm by now. Let's grab a chair. So let's grab a chair or go by the wall. And not everybody will need a chair. I'm going to use a chair. We're going to do, get a block, bending your knees, keeping your back flat when you bend, okay? Let's do a little bit of practice with that. I want you to take a foot forward. Imagine you have to get something on the floor. I want you to bend both of your hips, keep your spine long, and then just reach forward. Whether there's a chair there or not, just a little practice. Come up, take that foot back, bring the other foot forward, bend your knees, bend your hips, keep your back flat, and reach down to grab whatever it's going to grab. You can even get your foot involved in this when you have to go a little farther. The heel comes off the floor, okay? Have your feet pretty wide. Let's go really wide, super wide, super wide. Bend your hips, bend your knees, look forward. Keep your face up. So keep your face up. Keep your head up. When the head goes down, the upper spine rounds, okay? Just do a little bit of this. Knees go out to the side, hips bend, and then bring yourself up. I was teaching a workshop once, an Aging Gracefully with Yoga workshop, and it was really interesting. Two people made comments I thought was so great. They said, as you get older, there's a few things that happen. One guy said, you decide whether you really need that thing that just dropped on the floor. So before, when you're younger, you drop something, it's so easy to just reach down. But as you get older, coming down may not always be so easy to get back up. So he said, you look at it and you're like, do I really need that? So I thought that was great. And then this other woman said, she tells her grandkids, okay, if grandma goes down on the floor, we're staying down. She's going to be down there for a long time. So I thought that was great too. So I know that bending is a part of everyday activity. We're going to do a pose called Warrior 3, which is a humdinger of a pose. And we're going to load up a hip joint, folding forward. For those of you that have a pretty strong practice, you don't have to use a chair. I like to keep a chair here. And then being near a wall if you don't have that. And even Warrior 3, like if you were in the kitchen and you were to do a Warrior 3, having your hands on something tall, like a bookcase or something like the kitchen countertop could be good, because then you're reaching up that upper body. And I realize probably should shift this a little. There, okay. So you're gonna come onto your mat. Let's grab a block and put a block between your knees. So we're gonna do a chair pose to get that integration of that folding proper position in the body. And I like to put a block between my knees for this. You don't have to. If you don't have your block between your knees, I'd like legs together, or you could roll up a blanket or a towel and put that between your knees. So you're gonna put your feet on the floor and keep your feet block distance. Make sure they're not like this. I want you to have your feet underneath that block. Your gaze is up. If you think about this, the clavicle bones, if you had eyeballs right here, let those eyeballs always look forward. That's going to minimize rounding in the upper spine. If you look down, there's more likelihood that the rest of the spine will follow because it's all connected. So look forward, take your hands on your waist, and then squeeze the block, lower down, bending. Let it be mostly hip joint. And then think about that tailbone of yours. Think about the tailbone as you go down, it points down to the ground. So don't let it point up. Let it point down, which is going to bring a posterior tilted to the pelvis. You need the core to be involved with that. The exhale takes you down. The inhale brings you up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Let's get the hands to be involved. Exhale to come down. Inhale one more time. Squeeze the block, contract the core. Exhale down. Arms are up. If you could bring your arms up a little bit higher, looking across the room, contract the core, push the belly button back towards the spine. It's called lightning bolt pose. Find lightning bolt in your body. Squeeze the block, sink as low as you can. And then imagine you're holding a block in your hands. The arms are important here. The upward body movement of this is important for structural aspects, for balance, for strengthening the upper body. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze the block. Press the belly button to the spine. Okay, this is crazy. 5 more breaths for those of you that can. If you could only do 1 more, do 1 more. If you could do 3 more, do 3 more. Take your hands together and bring yourself up. Don't throw eggs at the screen. All right, we're going to come into our warrior 3. So you're going to face your chair. Your toes are pointing forward. Walk your feet pretty close. You want them close because you really want proper hip alignment here. Then we're going to take our hands here. So take your hands together, which really helps with balance. And let's go on to our left leg first. So I'd like you to start to bring your right foot back. So bring your right toes back and then bring your foot into a flex position. You're going to bend in that hip joint, keeping your chest up like we've been doing all day today. Come forward into whatever feels comfortable for you. If you have a chair there, you could put your hands on the chair to load up the joints a little deeper. If you'd like to lift opposite hand off, if you'd like to bring your hands down lower, keeping that spine nice and lengthened. So look forward, not extremely forward. You could look straight down or slightly forward. Flex the foot you're standing on, contract the core, loading up this hip joint in a warrior 3 position. Deep breaths. Get the power from the breath here. Draw that life force energy into your body. You need it right now. Draw it all the way down to that left hip, that left glute. Take 1 more breath. You could bend the standing leg, bring yourself down, keep your back nice and flat, bring yourself all the way up. Let's take that left leg, move it around in its socket. Your left leg, your left hip joint says thank you. Your left pelvis, thank you. Make it be the knee that's moving. So it's not this. You're not doing this. You're taking this entire femur bone. You're moving it around in the socket. Let's come to the other side. Standing on your feet, toes are pointing forward, feet are pretty close together. You're going to bring your hands together. This is going to fire up the sensory cortex, the balance center in the brain. And then you're going to slightly take that left leg back, come to the point first. So align your skeleton, align your alignment, contract the core, push the belly button back towards the spine. Keep the upper body looking forward. The chest is open. Flex the back leg and come forward into whatever feels appropriate for you. Bringing your hands to the chair if you need or would like. Gaze can be straight down or just in front of you. Back leg is flexed and lifted. If you'd like to take the opposite hand off, the right hand can come off. Using the power of the breath here, we need it. Push your big toe into the floor, activate, lift that arch off the floor. Contract your core, push your belly up towards your spine, lengthen out your foot, lengthen out your arm. Of course, coming out whenever you need. 30-second hold is what we're going for here. Take one more breath. Bending that front leg. Go ahead and bring yourself out. Bring yourself up. Take that right leg in the socket, roll it around. Either holding on to something or not maybe presents a balance challenge for you. Maybe it doesn't. Be okay with you and where you are and what you can and can't do. Piece of seaweed in the water. You're to the floor, and every other joint from the feet is going to move. You're going to let your ankle joints sway. You're going to let your knees, you're going to let your hips even move more. Come into a figure 8 in one direction, a figure 8 in the other. Let your arms go back, your elbows go back. And then bring yourself standing. Palms are together, nice and aligned. Feel that lengthening in spine. Take one more breath. So that is all that we have time for in terms of sending the signal of strength to the body. Let's bring ourselves back onto the floor to our Shavasana position that we began class with today, allowing the body to go back to a place where it will heal and repair and restore and do all the things we need it to do for bone health. Bringing yourself down with osteoporosis means safely. We're going to take our arm to the side, allow our body to come down to the floor. Find in your body whichever pose makes sense for you right now. You could take your head, move the head back and forth, a little bit of rotation before you come into your Shavasana pose. The Shavasana pose is the integration of you, of your small self to your big self, of the conscious and the subconscious. So deep, deep breaths. Stay on your sacred rectangle that you're on, or your sacred space. Allow yourself to still practice human being versus human doing. Ninamaya Kame, Govinde Mukame, Udare Apare, Hariyam Kariyam, Ninamaya Kame, Govinde Mukame, Udare Apare, Hariyam Kariyam, Ninamaya Kame, Govinde Mukande, 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 Udare Apare, Hariyam Kariyam, Ninamaya Kame. Gently begin to start deepening your breath. Maybe opening your mouth and letting out a few sighs like we began class today. And notice if the sighs you're making now at the end of class feel more like a yummy release as opposed to the release of tension when we began class today. We generated so much yumminess, so much connection to ourselves. And even if we did work hard and we're feeling that in our body, there's something that feels so self-loving about that and so nice, and especially to be done, because today's class had a lot of strength in it. It's pretty challenging. So even the, thank gosh, that's over kind of sigh. Bring your awareness to your fingers, to your toes as you wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. It's important to keep the physical package strong. Let your legs go up into the air wherever position you're in, whether they began on a chair or not. Bring your legs to the air. If your legs are far away from you and you feel too much tension, hold on to the backs of your thighs and bring your legs in. But let your feet be up towards the sky. We did a lot for the low back. Or we did a lot that could have aggravated the low back. We did do a lot of strengthening for the muscles of the low back and the glute and the back body. And I'd like you to feel these femur bones sinking into the pelvis. If today you feel any discomfort in your low back, because we did work that area a lot, almost everything we did focused on that today, actually. So today, if you could find your legs on a chair like this can release low back discomfort, or your legs up against the wall. Bring your knees into your chest. That's also helpful for that low back, rocking back and forth side to side. And then you're going to rock all the way onto your right side. pushing yourself. You could use that leg to help you get up. You're going to bring yourself to seated. We're going to seal the deal. Let's allow the integration. Let's really put the lid on everything we just did, sealing that deal of everything that we just did for our body, for our mind, for our soul. On any level you were able to receive the benefits of today's practice. Taking your hands, rubbing your hands together. We're going to bring them to touch the sternum bone, sitting nice and tall. The sound Om, blending the ah, o, sound, is the primordial sound of life, the sound of all living things buzzing and humming in the way that they do. Take a deep breath down to your belly. We bow ourselves to each other. We bow our heads, bow ourselves. Namaste. And of course, when we bow ourselves to each other, it's with complete and utter awareness in how we should be bowing. Making that happen at the hips, noticing if the head gets involved, that you need to push the heart forward as well, so that you minimize that rounding in the upper back. Always have to keep you honest, keep you in your minds, and keep you aware of what you're doing to yourself. All right, let's hear what you have to say. Almost everything was for back today. The camel pose, the locust pose, the dolphin plank will be supportive. The side plank will be supportive of that. That warrior 3, even our rope bending forward when we began today. You're welcome, Donna. Lynn, my dad had his, thanks for asking. My father had on Friday, last Friday, he had a pacemaker put in. They said the electrical part of his heart was a little Still looking great for 91. He turned 91 on Monday. So he's doing well. My sister's a nurse and she's been at home taking care of him. So thank you for asking. Yes, Chachi, all these classes are recorded. And it does feel different when you don't practice. Practice becomes like, I want to say your religion, but then people are going to take that to be Practice becomes your life, and it becomes your safe haven, and it becomes something that keeps you strong and helps us deal with this crazy life. And then, wow, for the Bali studio, seriously, right? That's the Bali studio. I'm going to get you all excited for the trip. So there will be one in 2021 if we're allowed to go. And here's the bathtub. That's me in the bathtub. They put all these petals in the bath, and that's the rice field patties I was looking at. So see, I already had Stevie and Donna already signed up before they even saw all of this. This is in my room. These flowers in the street. You walk in the streets picking up flowers all day. It's like, how could you not be perfectly content in it? And this was my patio that I sat on every single day. Same view as that yoga studio. So easy to find peace when you're there and not at home with life and stuff and things. So trying to find the peace in the chaos is the ticket. Felt yummy. Good, Shannon. Good. It was strong today too. So to find yummy was strong is great. It's kind of like melting butter on gluten-free pancakes with maple syrup. Maybe. You're welcome, Carolyn. And you must be pretty strong because you've been practicing with me this whole 18 weeks or whatever it is. How many ever weeks it is, 12. Chachi's seriously right. It's amazing. Yes, I'm sure you loved it, She's Way. Lynn, namaste. Joyce, you're welcome. Carol, yeah, lots of butt stuff today. Oh, it was so strong, butt felt good. And also butt B-U-T-T stuff. Oh, with blueberries, of course, because we have to add the antioxidants, right? And they were gluten-free. Did I mention that? You could even use vegan butter. And maple syrup would be vegan. So they could be vegan, gluten-free, highly antioxidant. Oh, and I like to add flax meal to my mix. So I'm getting all those good omega oils and fiber. So they could be really great. I may have that for lunch. Yes, it is. That's beautiful. You guys will all want to come with me to Bali. It's unbelievable. All right. So I've got a class. I am off tomorrow. And then
yeah, it says my connection is unstable. So now's probably a good time to go. Bye.